sure to sign in sheets, make sure your phones are on vibrate or turned off. Privilege of the floor. Is there anybody that wants to speak or forever hold your peace? Okay, approval of the minutes.
I'm sorry, there's a little typo, there's 6-6 and 6-11.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the June 6, 2019 special meeting in the form shown in the board folders with the changes as indicated.
Second. Discussion, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried, 4-1-1. No, the 5-1-1.
501.
501.
Sorry. There I go again.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of the June 11th, 2019 board meeting in the form that they appear in the board folders with the changes as shown.
Second. Discussion, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried, 5-0-1. Okay, Chuck, I guess you're up, son.
Thanks, George. Your first page is the cash sheet. At the end of September, you had $6.4 million in the bank. As you can see on the sheet, the 2018 final bill that you approved at your last meeting, it's going to take away $1.2 million that's going to go back to other municipalities. I've requested from them to let me know whether they're going to want that money back or they're going to use it to subtract from their fourth quarter payments. I've heard from a couple of them, but only 2 of them. In October, we sent out, that's not on this sheet, we sent out $1.9 million worth of bills. So basically, if everything was to be in a perfect scenario, we should at the end of the year have $6 million at least in cash. On your revenue sheet, the only thing to point out is that the money that we received from state and federal disaster money this year is pretty low. I'm not 100% sure why that is, but we received about $770,000. I think a lot of that is related to money that was due to us from the end of last year. But I'll get with Ed and Charlie on that one.
I think part of it, Chuck, is that the construction isn't done yet, and you know, there's a certain percentage we get up to, and we can only collect the first 75%, and they hold the last 25% until you get a certificate of occupancy and certificate of completion, and we're not there yet.
On the expense side, the personal services, as a rough estimate, we're going to end up with at least $500,000 under what was budgeted there. About a third of the way down on that first page, you'll see reimbursements to the village for debt and the city. The numbers you see there are $3.5 million and $4.1 million is the debt that we paid on this project on the joint sewage treatment plant through August 31st. The September numbers are not in there, but that's through August 31st. There seems to be some type of error in account 54203 when I was looking at it this morning. I had some people looking at it to correct it. It looks like we're going to be short money, but I believe there's money posted there that should have been posted someplace else. On page 2 of that report, Charlie, there's some money in industrial pretreatment from last year for GHD. There's a PO out there for 2018 that you have not spent this year. I think you can, it looks like you're going to, be short. I think if you get rid of that encumbrance, you'll be pretty good there. And if you need it, the money will still be there. on the bottom of page 2, you see health insurance has a negative number of $17,848. Charlie and I talked about it. He had to make a payment to the insurance company, which put us over the budget. There's going to be some employee cost that comes in that's going to that puts money back into that, and at the end of the year, we adjust out how much is left in the bank account that they grabbed from. I think we're probably going to need some money there, but right now to say put 20,000 there or 10,000, I think is probably a best guess, and we could give it to the beginning of December, and we'll do the right number. I think we'll have a better idea. On the purchase orders, Charlie, we have the one out there for Hinckley, Allen, and Snyder, that encumbrance that we did back in 2016. Can we close that one out and just do one underneath the 19 PO? Or do you need something from the board, just so it's a newer PO?
Chuck, what would you need on that? Can we just roll that forward into a 19 PO?
I think that's fine with me.
Okay.
I think that's fine. If you guys are okay with that, that's fine with me.
I mean, if we need it for the record, I'd make a motion that we authorize the fiscal officer to roll forward the PO for Hinkley Allen 16004421 into a 2019 current year PO in the amount of $457,557.17, and encumber the same as it is currently.
Second. Discussion, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried 501.
Charlie, there's another one out there for GEA mechanical equipment for $7,541 from 17. It says scroll inspection. I don't know if we still need that one, or if that's basically, looks like you also have one for 19 too.
I was thinking just ribbon. Charlie will get from you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, my recollection is it's a multi-year contract. There's different charges for different years. And this one here is showing it was put in as a minor service, but you don't have the full amount of the bill when you set up the encumbrance, because it may or may not be more or less depending on what they find. And so I think that would be something that would roll forward again under the current contract. So if it would help, I make the same motion, same type of motion that I just made, that with respect to PO 17003047 for GA Mechanical Equipment US, that the purchase order be rolled forward, liquidated into a 2019 PO in the amount of $12,838.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried 501.
Charlie, the last one that's out there is another GEA mechanical one for the centrifuge minor service.
That was the one I just made a motion.
That's the one.
That's the one I just made a motion.
Okay, that's one. Okay, there was another one I was thinking of.
Okay. I guess I lost track of which page you're on, Chuck.
Oh, I gotta mark this down.
So I make the same motion on that one, that with respect to PO 170035556 for GA Mechanical Equipment US in the amount of $7,541.20, that the amount be rolled forward into the current PO 190000661 and continued accordingly.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried 501.
And the last one I have here, Charlie, is the GHD one from 2018 for the IWPP. There was $9,000 left on that one, almost 10,000 in 18. You got 58,000 on the one for 19 left.
Okay.
It's on page 3 of the PO report, the last item.
Are we sure on that first one?
You haven't used it this year from what I can see.
So we're sure there's no new bills coming in to close out the 2018 pre-treatment year. Chuck, that pre-treatment year goes to March 31st of 2019, even though it says 2018. It's on the federal fiscal year.
I mean, we don't have to do anything today, but Joe, you want to check into it. I mean, it'll free up some money if you...
Yeah, we have a discrepancy with one of their bills, so. Hold on.
All right, so we better look at that one before then.
Okay.
That's all I have. If anyone has any questions before I talk
Right,
about the project.
right.
Should we move some money for the insurance?
Yeah,
Wanna do that?
Was that on your report, Chuck?
it is,
Yeah, probably deal with it on
yeah.
So in your folders, it's a little bit farther back toward the correspondence, you have the monthly chart report and the monthly draft report for the lead agency's capital project. And this is through the end of September. And it shows that through the end of September, the total contractual obligation, again dating back to July 2011, is $269,664,230.45. Out of that, $245,720,492.04 has been approved to pay, which is about 91%. And with the accrued retainage liability for the construction demolition contracts that's associated with that, it's about 94.5%. And on pages 2, 3, and 4, you see the detail for each of the 42 contracts that have been involved with the project. And they're updated again through the end of September. And in the column on the right, where it says lines data last updated, that's the date that the last activity, or most recent activity on that particular contract took place, and that's the data record for the data that's in the report. In the graph report, we have the same financial information, just presented in a more graphical format. One thing, by virtue of having my computer updated in the office, we're adding captions to the photographs now at the bottom that shows the date taken for the photograph. You'll notice that even though this is a through September 30th report, the photographs are taken in August. And that corresponds to the camera roll that is made available to me from Ron Lake's office, and the camera roll that's made available to him through Jacobs. And it also corresponds to the fact that the payments that are processed in September generally are for August work or before August if there's a contractor that's behind in its invoicing, such as we've spoken about before with respect to PC construction. In this particular set of reports, PC Construction's activity is through the end of July of 2019. The August billing reached my desk yesterday, and it's being worked on at this point. On pages 2 through 4 of the graph report, you have the bar graphs for each of the 42 contracts. It shows the status of the bar, in terms of what's been paid. That's either a base contract in the darker green or change order supplemental agreement in the lighter green. And the construction, the pink is the retainage that's withheld for the contract. And also in the case of our two general contractors that have had the misfortune of having New York State DOL withholding notices filed against their payments, the money that's noted there is also included in that retainage, even though it's in a separate escrow account. tied to that notice. Then the lighter blue is work that hasn't been submitted for billing or completed yet. And then the red checkerboard or crosshatched region at the right on some of the grass is where there's been a negative change order that's actually reduced the overall cost of the contract. My contact information appears on both pages 2 and 4 of both reports. If anybody has any questions, feel free to get hold of me. Any questions at this point? Thank you. You got to give me 2.
George? There.
How did you know? I'm turning it around and all of a sudden it's gone. Huh?
It was,
Yeah, you
it
took
wasn't right there.
Well, Charlie, we're still waiting for
Well,
you.
reading from the floor.
Well, no, it started off and then turned around. I figured that you were gonna jump right in after that.
Well, there is a separate sheet inside your folders, but I think it's all on the agenda here. So we are still waiting on gero testing for polymer, although it should be even closer to being imminent than it was last month. The DEC penalty, I don't want to steal any of your superintendent's thunder from Elliott, but we did make it for the pounds for CBOD and TSS, which is wonderful. But we did not make it on the milligrams per liter on the CBOD for the speed use permit. So it is still going to be $1,000 penalty for October.
You mean 10,000?
Or, I'm sorry, $10,000.
Good, good. Well, hey, I like your figures first.
One of those. You go ahead. The WQIP continues to be on schedule. We did receive pay application number 4 from JV Excavation. So they are doing very fine work as far as I can tell. And we will be submitting a quarterly application request from them, DEC. The 2018 financial audit was accepted by the Federal Clearinghouse, and we got notification, which just means that they acknowledge that we sent the proper information. They may come back later, but they have it in the past.
There are copies of it.
There will be copies in the folders. So that's good news. Methanol, we have not called for delivery yet. The Jacobs did request we have the vendor visit the site. And then tomorrow at 10 a.m., the SPS representative is coming in from Syracuse to walk the site and look at the fittings. So anybody's welcome to come along for that.
Really?
We did ask them to provide a generic
I guess I'm confused. The last time that I knew this methanol was supposed to be paid for, an order from Jacobs and the handling of it. And now is it going back through us again, Chuck?
You guys are gonna buy it. That's the way it's been.
Well, I understand that. I do understand that theory of it, that one way or another, we were gonna buy it.
No, I think from day one, right, Charlie? You were gonna order it, right?
The initial thing was that if they needed it quickly, Jacobs was gonna buy it. If we had a chance to go out for bid, we did.
Right.
And now it's
Okay,
in a month, and we
as
still
long
haven't
as it
ordered
is, because I was gonna say, if Jacobs was gonna buy it, that they should be.
We have a signed agreement with
That
SBS.
they should be ordering the people to come down and look at it and do it. So, but now it's, I agree with
I'd
it.
actually rather have us do it.
Just as a point of order, George, due to an ambiguity in GHD specifications, it appears that the owner, which means the board, provides the chemicals for start.
In two different places, and for clarification,
Right.
one is that the contractor
No, I know,
buys the
I
first
know,
load,
yeah,
and
I
that,
know,
so.
yeah.
I understand that, and then we turned around and had a meeting and hashed out, but I didn't hear anything different than what I'm hearing now, so that's why I questioned it.
For hydrated line, our contract expires in November, and I have reached out to Univar to see if they'll extend our current pricing. And as of this morning, they were still considering it, so if they will extend it, it's $258 a ton, which is a fair price and needing less. So I would like permission to extend it if they agree to those terms, or to advertise if they do not. Can I do that in one?
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve extension of the hydrated line contract with Univar on the same terms and conditions as currently enforced, or if Univar declines to extend, but in a timely fashion, that we authorize the business manager to advertise for a successor agreement on the same specifications,
Second,
other than the change in quantity.
I second that. Discussion, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried 501.
Just as a point of order on methanol, do we need a motion to authorize the business manager to advertise for the next period? Because,
Yeah.
before we get to the next board meeting, we will have an expiration of the current contract.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah. I mean, because we don't know whether SPS will extend. They will consider that, but they don't know, we don't know that, and if they don't, then it's the same situation he's in with the line.
Well, I understand, I didn't realize we needed a motion to go out there and ask for it, but let's say that the numbers come back higher, they're gonna need board approval anyway, aren't you?
Well, I'd have to go out to advertise, and for 3 weeks advertising, that takes us to, these contracts only good till November 6th. That's before the
I
next
just-
board meeting.
We've always, under the procurement policy, we've always done it by board motion, so it's in the record in the minutes.
Okay, all right, we'll put it in the record.
So I make a motion that we authorize the business manager to extend the existing methanol contract with SPS on the same terms and conditions, provided SPS is agreeable to doing so, or if not, that we authorize the business manager to advertise for methanol supply for the period after the current contract expires on November 6th, using the same specification that we've used in prior advertising.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah. So the way this is coming out, every 2 months, because of the volatility, and it won't bid out any farther than that, so every 2 months, we're gonna have to reauthorize a new bid, correct? For methanol for the rest of the time.
Potentially.
We're using
one
methanol.
month, too, yeah.
But why can't we make this motion carried until the procurement policy changes where we can get a steadfast price? Why can't we make this motion to carry on through, that you get the authority to take and go off for bids on it without going through board approval?
You don't know if the specs are going to change, or if some other factor is going to change.
I don't even know what the specs are now.
We haven't bought the first.
I don't think-
It's a record, I've read it.
I don't think we got the specs on it.
is available to us.
Well, we got the specs on what we're getting, but
Yeah,
whether or not that's what we need,
Right.
No, I
or
got,
not is,
Kruger gave me the specifications of what their media requires. So I'm confident that
So
way.
in other words, they're buying it from their subsidiary, right?
Are they likely to change?
It's just the volatility of the market.
Yeah, but there are options, we could, than going out,
One-
advertising every 2 months.
One of the things I've seen, it looks like a good solution, is you pre-qualify a series of vendors. So say you have 4
That's what we
vendors
discussed
who can
about
do it,
before,
and
right.
you just email them every month
Right.
and pick the best price from those.
And that's what I thought the board,
That's not the way that-
was
We
agreed.
didn't get a lawyer's opinion that that was okay.
Well, okay, I'll give you.
We've got to have a written letter. We need a written letter from Al signed on this letterhead that says you can do
Do
it.
we have to go into executive session for your?
Anyhow, call the question.
Okay. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried 501.
And as Chuck mentioned, the health insurance line, the regular insurance, it is in the hole, but we have 5 more payrolls where we have the employee contribution to offset that, but still, we anticipate at least $10,000 needed by the year end. We do have sufficient in the health insurance for the retirees to cover that, so I would request the board to make a transfer between the health insurance retirees to regular health insurance for $10,000.
it's 10,000 enough. Chuck, you said maybe 20,000?
Say that again.
10 or 20?
I think 10 will work, okay? We definitely don't need 20 because we know we're gonna get some payments on it.
There are the retiree portion payments. You know, that those get trued up at the end of the year when we get the statement from Tom Augustine on what they paid. So we want to go with 10? I make a motion that we approve and authorize for presentation to the owner's legislative bodies a budget transfer resolution to transfer $10,000 from retiree health insurance J9060.58000.C to the active health insurance J9060.58000.A. Or wait a minute, I get those
Yeah.
numbers wrong. The retiree, the from line is 58002.C,
Right.
and the to line is 58000.C.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, carried 501.
And as I mentioned, the line is expiring. And elevation certificates are still needed for flood insurance.
Where can we get those?
Well, what we've done in the past is that we've gotten, with the professional service, we've gotten quotation letters from various local engineering firms, you know, Shoemaker, Albert Engineering, different firms, and then go from there. You have to have 3 quotes.
Wait a second. Ron, because I believe that's the contractor's responsibility.
Oh, I believe it's theirs too, but it doesn't seem like we're getting it.
Ron's asked.
Why don't we just go get it ourselves?
The certificates are not going to do you any good.
Well,
They're
with
still-
our insurance company, they will.
No, it won't, because the flood walls at present time can't be certified. So no matter what the elevation is inside, it's still, they're still considered not to be there, and you're still in the flood zone.
Okay.
Until we can figure out a way to get the flood walls certified.
Ron, you're missing the point. We can't get flood insurance at all without an elevation certificate for the building, whether there's a flood wall or not.
They won't issue it.
That's what he's talking about.
All right, we should have those.
The holdups for this building were the certificate of occupancy and the elevation certificates, right? And that's, we still can't get insurance because we have no
Elevation.
certified elevation. Why don't we just go get it?
$300 a Keystone.
Well,
That's another option too. That's the third firm.
We may,
I think they're already done.
we may have those.
I'm just telling you.
We may have those because we paid Shoemaker to go through here and establish all
I
those
thought I
elevations.
saw
If you have them, would you send them to me? I'll get a
And
picture.
they're making
And
that.
they have to be the completed, you can't say
It's
final
gotta be-
construction.
Stand.
Yeah.
It has to be completed, and that's what we didn't have for this one. For our insurance company.
well, we'd like to have insurance. Whatever it takes. I think the option for us to go and get it, if it's not what we want or what we need, I think we should seriously talk about it.
Well, why did I see a number within the last month that there was an elevation established in that?
I thought there was.
I saw something come in on the, I'll have to go back to and then dig them out. But I swore there was an established benchmark, an elevation. And I think it came from GHC, but I'll have to go back and check. I hope not. In the meantime, we want
There,
to.
I mean, just as a point of order, George, there, GHD's statement of what the elevation is, and even if they put it in a blueprint drawing, it's not in the proper form, in the FEMA elevation certificate format that we need to give the insurance company.
And they mentioned something about that, but okay. Like I said, I'm not clear on it, but I thought I read something that came across from GHD, but whatever. I mean, for $200-300, I don't see any reason.
Let me see if I can take care of that.
So we'll see.
Let me see if I can take care of that.
Okay, and if you can't take care of it, then I'd like to get some type of
Right.
motion to go out and get prices or whatever. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah,
But I thought we had paid
Yes.
Shoemaker to do that.
we need something in the proper form. And I don't know what that is.
It's,
Charlie does.
Charlie does.
It needs to have the civil engineer stamp that says
Right.
completed.
Right.
I can't say under construction.
Can't see
Which is
that.
what the last one we had said, it was stamped, but it said under construction. So the insurance company said, this isn't the final version.
So did Howard say Keystone was at 300?
That's what it was when we had our temporary facility here on site. It was $300 to have Keystone do it.
What time frame was that, Howard?
They were able to do it within 2 weeks.
No, no, no.
No,
What
how
year?
long
What year?
ago?
What year?
Last year,
3 years ago.
17.
Yeah.
it should even be easier now because we have benchmarks on top of the walls.
Yeah, I think
Right,
they make it pretty good.
2017, right? 18?
Well, if Ron can't get it, can I get a motion from somebody that sent Charlie out for quotations, 3 of them or whatever?
I second that motion.
In accordance with the procurement policy.
Yes, right. Okay. It's easier, so now it'll be more expensive, watch and see.
Call a question? Call a question.
Oh,
You
okay.
can vote on it.
All right, okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried, 501. Are you over now?
Thank you.
Yes, discussion on the old centrifuges.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether they're declared scrap yet or not, so they will be out of service here shortly. We're starting up the new ones. I was under the impression that Quandel would remove them and we would retain that salvage, but their methods for removal don't permit reuse. So I've gone out, contacted Rogers Service, Diamond Bacorn, A.L. Smith. A.L. Smith was here today, Rogers Service will be here tomorrow. Bacorn doesn't seem like they're able to do it, to get them out of there. But I did want to share, I also reached out to Blue Heron, and they sent an offer, and I felt obligated to share it with the board. sure you're not gonna accept it, but I share it with you.
So you're recommending that we don't accept it?
Well, he's gonna come and take them out, give you $10,000 a piece for each,
Okay,
What do you think they're worth?
much more.
okay.
What do you think we can get for
But
it?
that's,
Yeah.
but so in other words, we wanna pay somebody and then we get salvage rights for it. What can we get in salvage rights for it?
I don't know until I get it out on the market to see what people are gonna offer us for it.
Well, why don't you do the same thing as you did before?
With,
Call up Weitzman, or I'll call Weitzman up, and he'll come down, and he'll give you a ballpark figure, and then we know how much it's gonna be worth, and then you'll have the price for how much it's gonna cost us to have it dismantled and moved down to their place, so that we know whether we're getting a fair price or not.
you talking about scrap value?
Yeah.
He's not talking about scrap.
What else you gonna do with it? You gonna use it for turbine fans out there?
No, I intend to sell it to another wastewater facility or somebody else that can use them.
You got a place to store it?
A.L. Smith does. That's part of what they do. Keeping in storage as little as possible, I'd like to move them.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
If you feel that $20,000 is fair for both of them, the problem is we're under time constraint too. They say that they're gonna start the centrifuge, they wanna start ripping and tearing next Monday. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. So that was part of the reason I contacted Blue Heron, because I thought they would be able to mobilize and move quickly on it. They would have a use for the centrifuges.
But it doesn't really answer in that they could get right on it if we accepted their offer.
No, it doesn't. Either way, I'd like the board to declare them scrap so that moving forward, there's no more obstacles.
If you're gonna resell them for reuse, how can you turn around and name them scrap?
No,
Surplus, I'm sorry, surplus. Sorry.
That's better. Thank you.
Wrong word.
I'm getting like you now, I get a little touchy.
That's all right, no, that's important.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's been mentioned in the past that the city of Binghamton might have some use for these, but it would have to come in and make us an offer just like everybody else.
We tried with them, Ed, and.
We have an obligation to get the
I
best
guess they're
price.
going to the wine squeezer.
I believe they're going with golf prices, yeah.
Yeah, bell size. Okay, well, I guess so. What do you really want from us until you get everything, so we know what to do?
I would like the board to declare them surplus upon the completion of their useful life here.
Can I have a motion?
I make a motion that we declare the two centrifuges. And where
Where the
they
CD
located.
536
To what?
is. CD 536.
Two CD 536 model centrifuges to be surplus, and that we authorize the superintendent, acting superintendent, or acting assistant superintendent to dispose, with the assistance of whoever he deems appropriate, such as a facility engineer, to seek proposals and have them appropriately disposed of at the best economic value under the circumstances.
Sounds good.
Second. As long as it doesn't hold up the construction.
Go ahead.
Right, that's the under the circumstances.
Well, so, okay, just still for discussion, so as long as we've got this in, but we've got to get him out, do we have to wait for his, you've got, what, 2 or 3 different people for a disconnect?
A.L. Smith was here today.
Yeah.
They can mobilize next week. Rogers Service is going to stop in early tomorrow afternoon to take
Okay.
a look. And that's the only 2 that I've been able to get to come visit the site.
And you're saying that they want to start in one of them on Monday?
Quandell's intention was to start demolition on the 14th, or I believe that's next Monday.
It's a holiday.
So we wouldn't get any value for them I'm just trying to get as much as we
Right,
can out of them.
Right, now, Ron, does that seem feasible, that Rondell will be there Monday?
Yes. And we really do need to get out of their way because they're not inclined to be nice when we hold them up.
So I'm just gonna say, is this gonna affect anything, and how do we approve of the price, or do we also put in that same motion that take the lower the two prices to get them out? Since they've gotta be out?
Pick the higher.
No, the lower, the
The
just
higher we sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, one way is gonna cost you money, the other way is you're gonna get money.
So you wanna extend that on, or are we gonna make another motion with that too?
I think it has to be a separate motion.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure how you can make the motion without knowing the dollar amount. Do you have the dollar amount
For,
He doesn't.
for the removal?
About that, if you
No.
don't have
Do you have
it.
an estimated amount?
No.
Because if it's over a certain amount, you gotta go through the whole bidding rigmarole. If it's over 35,000. I don't know that it's gonna be that.
I guarantee you it won't be 35,000, it won't be, I'm hoping to come in well under 10,000.
And then go under the superintendents.
Well, we don't have, until we get to the point where we appoint an acting superintendent, we've got a glitch under the procurement policy, and we haven't vested anybody with that authority. I'm hoping that's something, I don't see it on the agenda, but I'm hoping that's something we're gonna address.
Personnel.
And it's under personnel.
Executive session.
This is union contract.
You said it's somewhere in the executive session.
Okay, all right. What?
Do you think you're gonna get more than 15 or
Okay, so-
20,000 apiece out of them?
Since we're finished with discussion, all in favor, say
I
aye.
hope I don't get
Aye.
this 20.
Opposed, carried, 501.
Yeah, I mean, they're $200,000, $300,000 piece of equipment. Still got a lot of life, got spare
Okay,
parts
so-
for them.
So, what do you think, if it goes over $10,000, we gotta turn around and call it a special meeting?
I mean, the actual dismantling, what's the scope of service, Howard? Dismantling and removing, or?
In storage.
Removal and storage, yes.
And the dismantling, is that a professional service because of the, electrical work and all that stuff?
That would all be done prior. That would be, we would accomplish that in-house. There's several bits of auxiliary equipment that would come off the equipment to make it easier for the rigging company to just come in there and do the heavy rigging, palletize it, and store it.
But the rigging is professional service, I mean, we've been
Correct.
told that.
Yes.
So that way we can value whether we're getting a good deal from Blue Heron or not on your prices, because your valuation is that roughly they're offering us $30,000.
About 20.
30,
Count 10 for the
30,
Count
10.
10.
10
the
takes
service.
it out.
Okay. Well, I should have my first bit of pricing tomorrow, and I'll have another outfit in tomorrow,
Okay.
so we should start to get, I can keep the board informed. As soon as I have information, I'll go through Michelle.
Right.
Just the reason I mentioned professional service is that the amount under the policy that's within the discretion is higher than for purchase.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Elliot, I hear up now.
Superintendent's report, October 8th for September. I have a question on the fine. The fine structure, is it, are the CBOD and the TSS combined?
It's if either or is above the limit, it's $5,000. But if both, it's still $5,000.
Because we did make it on the milligrams per liter for TSS and pounds for both. but not milligrams per liter for CBOD.
So we're stuck.
That's how we do it.
Yeah,
But that may improve depending on the temperature and the growth of biology, so that when we get to the end of October, we might have some good news.
it will definitely improve based on the numbers that we're seeing. So speaking about numbers, our CBOD influent for the month of September average was 278 milligrams per liter. Effluent was 37 milligrams per liter. We achieved a removal percentage of 86.69%. The month of August, we saw a removal percentage of 53.31%. Suspended solids influent was 268 milligrams per liter, effluent 20 milligrams per liter, which is an average removal of 92.54%. The August removal rate was 78.73%. So as you can see, the removal percentages are going up. We're headed in the right direction. Our total nitrogen our removal was actually down a little bit at 25.64. Last month it was 30. Our loading was a little bit higher. Digested sludge removed. September was 350.63 tons. Lime stabilized, 7.27 tons for a total of 357.9 tons. Our construction topics.
I got a question before you move on
Go
to
ahead.
the chart. In the top left of your chart, it says August 2019. Should that be September?
Yeah, it should be September.
Okay, thank you.
The work pending as of right now, 2 of the main pump suction valves have been relocated or spun, if you will. They're planning on doing the last 2 tonight. We're still waiting on a plan from the GHD for the expansion joint at the H line of the drawing. How did that go, the repositioning of the valves? Basically, they spun them 90 degrees.
I know, did it cause any problems, or they went all right?
There's some operational issues that we need to contend with during, but as long as they're notifying us ahead of time, we adjust.
When you say for getting in there to open and close them, right?
Yeah, they have to actually shut off our main pumps,
Yeah.
and they do a bypass, which affects our active flow system and our CEPT. So we have to run that in manual. The laboratory move is complete. Thank you to all the board members that were involved in getting, and Ron Lake involved in getting Lincoln Ellis from the Code Enforcement Office and Vestal to give us an certificate of occupancy for the East Lab. BioSteer startup continues to run CN 1 through 8 cells and DN 1 through 4 in automatic, including backwashes. There's some history. August 30th, we had the Department of Labor on site to investigate high H2S levels, and then a return on October 3rd. In your folders, you'll find the report from the Department of Labor noting the highest STL exposure limit. It was within the exposure limits, time weight allowed. So if there's further issues, they'll be back out. But as of right now, they installed the second makeup air handler unit, and the air quality seems to have improved significantly. Also on October 2nd, we had the Department of Labor out, PESH, for a surprise inspection. We're still waiting some further correspondence. Basically, that was looking at the construction impact on plant employees. During the walkthrough, the inspector noted some discrepancies, and they were repaired at that time. So as far as we're concerned, we're pretty much in the clear.
But they were all at contractor's expense, rather
Yeah.
than corrections.
The ActiFlow is operating a lot better since last week. The ferric problem has been addressed, and we're achieving much better effluent quality from the ActiFlow, which should help overall clean up the plant's effluent even greater than it is. The fire alarm phone lines were installed for the lab and the head house and the methanol facility. UV building continues to operate in automatic, but the transmittance is still not quite where it needs to be. We're not sure what's going on there. I'm going to ask that Jacobs ask Wetico to come on out and take a look at that transmittance transmitter, if you will. Our turbidity is down to 5 NTU, which is extremely clear. You can see about 3 feet into our effluent now. So we're not quite sure why it's not achieving the fecal kill that it should be.
Let's talk about that tomorrow
Okay.
at our meeting.
Other than that, generally the plant looks like it's headed in the right direction.
Except for that expansion joint.
I'm talking about process.
I understand, Ron.
We're GHD and their structural sub are in the process of reviewing what was submitted by PC right now. I'm not sure we're going to accept it, but it's ongoing and it will be fixed. We're expecting that the manufacturer for that joint material will be here shortly. We're going to have to do a pumping bypass so they can inspect it. But we don't have 14 days to take that offline because that will mess up our whole system. And after the 1st of December, we can't afford to do that. So whatever happens, PC is going to be responsible to do a bypass pump, keep everything in operation while that's repaired. But right now, we're waiting for something from GHD and the supplier of that material.
I thought that they had the procedure in control when they were removing it and gonna do it, and it fails again?
No, it hasn't failed again. They did a patch, what they said was okay, and then they covered it with something else, but it's gotta be, the temporary shield that they put over it has gotta be removed, and the seal's got to be inspected by the manufacturer. We need to have a
So
warranty
you
on
think
it.
that by chance that their rubber might have rolled over on the floor?
I don't know.
Okay.
George, I wasn't here then, so I have no idea.
Well, you'd think that somebody would turn around and take a hammer in there and and did an exploratory on it to find out instead of sitting here and guessing and waiting until the last moment, but okay. All right. You got anything else you have?
Yeah, I'd like to recognize the plant mechanics and operators in a recovery. Yesterday, basically, the flame screens took a dive from the inrush of leaves and grit. They stepped up big time and prevented a spill out onto the ground. That would have been a reportable spill. They put in a hard 8, and it was all hands in that building. They did a really good job. We're waiting for a response from Hydrodyne, that is the equipment manufacturer. We basically want to change some of their original set points to operate a little bit better for our facility. And then lastly,
Well, hold on, before you go, would you write a memo to all the people involved in it, thanking them for the hard work, and especially thanks from the board?
thank you. And lastly, we are needing some positions filled, and if possible, as soon as possible, I would like to call for tests for all the open and vacant positions. I'll leave that up to you to decide when is
I'm
the
looking at
appropriate
Chuck,
time for
looking at
that.
me right now.
As long as they're in the budget.
Make sure you look at the revised budget, okay, now.
Yeah, I think the process is you go through Michelle, she'll get with civil service and, you know, make the request. You know, it doesn't turn on a dime when you ask for a test, but.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it would hurt to have the tests
At
and
least put them on.
have a list.
You know.
Should always have a list.
Always have a
So,
That's it? Thank you. Thank you very much. You going to introduce your assistant here to the board and the person that's going to be taking over?
Some of us know.
This is Ron Warwick, he is the head operator or acting head operator, whatever you want to call him. He's basically the right-hand man, if not the man at the facility.
I'll come forward.
Yeah, now we got 2 rounds. Very good. Thank you, Elliot. Anybody got any questions for Elliot before we move on? Board committee reports. Steve?
Yes?
That's an error on across from personnel union contract. It's an error. I didn't-
Under construction, I've been going down on the river for the WTF, 200 feet. Trying to go down there once a week, and the islands are all done. And I got pictures of the piles and the rocks and the cables. They drilled holes in the rocks, big huge rocks. Drilled holes in them, put cables through them, tied them to the piles, tied them. Really quite an intricate piece of work out there, really. If that all moves, then we're all in trouble.
Can you email him? Sure.
Sure.
When you,
Okay?
in your spare time.
Yeah. As far as is out here, and I haven't been going to the Wednesday meetings, but the methanol, we talked a little bit about the methanol and how do I want to, what we need is a book on when somebody's going to fill, and the drivers are coming, or the suppliers are coming, and they're gonna give them something, but the plant has to also be involved in the builders are also gonna have to be involved, because the plant people aren't, 100% sure what's out there. And I'm sure that the supplier is just, this is gonna be the first time he sees it, but we need a standard operating procedure for filling those tanks. And it's gotta be written in stone, and it's gotta be where everybody can find it, and that's the holdup for getting methanol. And trying to get everybody's trying to get everybody else to do it at this point. And everybody's gotta sit down together and come up with what we need. And that's a big part of what's left out there. And to get the methanol up and running, it's all standing on this operating procedure.
When did you say he was coming in?
Tomorrow at 10.
Tomorrow.
I don't know what he may provide, and that would be entirely his favor. So far, we haven't given him $1. So if he doesn't bring anything, we really can't hold it against him. I asked for a generic offloading policy or procedure. They may or may not have anything they want to supply because they became liable.
I mean, they'll have something for their truck.
For their driver, yeah.
For their driver, for their truck, but the facility.
But anything past that.
Right, the facility, he doesn't know the facility, he's never, he may or may not ever have been here,
They
so.
might not want their truck here. I
And
don't know.
as far as we're concerned, a lot of the stuff out there, I mean, I'm sure the plant personnel don't really,
I agree.
No, the fire suppression system.
Well, I'm just trying to see if we can get a day's notice so we can make sure that when they're coming in, that they've got passage going to where they have
oh yeah,
to go.
that's all gonna be part of the procedure. I mean,
Yeah,
that's-
well,
Somebody's gonna have to meet them out at the road.
Right, that's why I'm
Shut down the
asking
burners.
you. Is it possible, Ron, that you
Not
could
just
be
shut
there
down,
at that 10
locked
o'clock
and
meeting?
tagged out.
Yeah.
So last time,
Mr.
we actually had to notify the town of Estill as well, the fire department, that we were going to receive a delivery.
I'm sure they're gonna
So
want to do that
their
again.
guys would be on.
And they want to know the
Yeah.
route that it's coming into town.
Is it possible, Mr. Lake, for you to be there at that 10 o'clock meeting?
I think it is.
Okay, that way we'll have some type of correspondence there and be able to filter through and make sure when you see them that, we'd like to get approximate time. I think the best way, because a couple of times that it happened where the truck broke down or something happened, that the driver has a cell number to call here if there's any delay or something like that, because I know they waited one day and then the next day they locked everything off, and that's when the driver showed up. So just make sure that the driver's got an emergency contact here in case something happens on the road.
One thing I know, and this falls into operations, okay, is that there is a standardized checklist form for various chemicals like hypochlorite and what have you, and you know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. We see it when we check the bill, because it's attached to the bill of lading, but we need something like that for methanol, where it's, really in the form of a checklist. Each step, gets checked off, and,
We'll have to have the same thing.
the steps are defined, and that's something that, once it's drafted, should be given some coordination, and then, through the construction committee, and then it'll be finalized and you put it in practice.
And the fire department's gonna want to sign
Right.
off on that too,
Right.
so they're gonna want to see it beforehand.
One thing is this plant going to be have weigh scales?
There's none in the plans.
No, I know there's not. I didn't know whether that was something, because I remember seeing plans where it showed it on the in and outs. I was just curious whether that was taken out of the first original that came, that they had a way in and a way out station.
There's nothing that I'm aware of.
Okay. No. Would have been nice. Okay. Then mine, I guess what I gotta do, because this will go on the thing, do you know when they plan on doing the paving out in front of the administration parking lot?
We're trying to get that scheduled.
Well, the only reason I'm asking is because now maybe we don't need to have the meeting at 4. We could move it back to 3 where it originally was, because we have ample parking now. But I don't know whether the board likes the 4 o'clock, the 3:30, or the 3 o'clock. So we do have ample parking throughout. Does it make any difference, or leave it like it is? I'm just looking for a discussion.
Like it is works good for me, you know, given my workload at my job. You know, the second Tuesday of the month is usually pretty busy for me. So,
Okay.
you know.
All right, understand. Would you rather have it at 4 o'clock?
You know, I mean, I understand that
No.
will be a major
No.
inconvenience for a lot of people, and we, you know, we came up with a 3:30 as a compromise, and I'm willing to stick to that.
Well, we came up as a compromise because we had it at here and that, but how about 3:15? That better? Ray will go along with that. But whatever. I'll leave it the same. I just didn't know when it's in the planning stages right now. Because they still gotta do the curbing,
See, they cut the defective one up.
the 2 sections, yeah, but now they got it strung up down here, so we're gonna go with that. And anything, and I like this on the record, that when they planted the topsoil and the seed all last week was a dry week. There was no water on the grass on the banks, and that's gonna be a bare spot. You got those caulking joints that gotta be taken care of in the sidewalk. They have to, since you've got the people there forming it up, I'm assuming they're the ones that poured the concrete, they gotta take care of that expansion joint and the way it's curling right now.
It's a safety issue.
Yes?
We should note that in minutes, too, that it's a safety issue. Even if, you know, I mean, it might be appropriate if we get Al to write a letter on behalf of the board to the lead agency that it's a safety issue, so they're on record if somebody gets hurt.
Okay, Ed, you might as well do both of yours.
All right. On the finance, in September, we got through the budget process, and again, my thanks to Charlie, our business manager, and the plant staff that participated in that as well, including retired Superintendent Mattias.
Good night, Chuck.
And the Munis budget's in, and Charlie sent that to us. I haven't had a chance to go through it, but I'll make up a little cover page for it like I've done in the past, because apparently they don't generate that in Munis anymore. And we'll see, yeah, well, whatever. That reminds me too, there's gonna be an outage in Munis at the city for some software upgrade, and that starts this Friday. At close of business, make sure if you're in Munis, you log out. You know, here, I don't know if Charlie, anybody else other than Gina, and Gina's been sick, I understand that. You know, but make sure we're logged out of that so it doesn't mess things up. And then you can't log back into that until you get communication from the city IT department, and they're doing the restart in phases. So I don't know what phase the plant's going to be, but I'll try to give Lori the elbow when she walks by my desk. So You know, so that we get back online as soon as we can, and hopefully all that goes well. And anyhow, you know, it was filed, and I thank, you know, Charlie again for working on that. I've been working with Howard Weaver on some FEMA items. He's currently in the process of finalizing the final submission on the terminal pumping station. He had some documents he asked for this morning that he thought was going to take a while for me to get to him, but I got to him within 15 minutes. So he's, you know, he's not delayed by anything that we had to look up. And then he's going to move on to the BAF PW 2555 and the associated BAF SCADA, which is the 2512 PW, in order to get those submissions up to date before the end of the year. And we're still collecting invoices and payments and forwarding that to him in the normal course, so that documentation is readily available. But as you mentioned in the colloquy before the meeting, once we hit 75% of the obligated amount under a project worksheet, the payments stop until you get to the end of your construction and you can provide a certificate of completion, certificate of occupancy, and all of that in order to get the final 25%. So, you know, when Chuck was saying about the delay in the downward trend in the FEMA revenue, that's going to be the way it is until we get to the end of the rainbow with the construction. You know, it's a process. That's the way the process works. One thing that's financial, but I think we're going to talk about it in the executive session. You know, I checked the minutes from the March 12th meeting, and it's absolutely clear that the stipends that were approved, George Colvin made a motion for the board to approve pay stipends from budget line, blah, 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 for the first quarter 2019. And so that's all we've approved is first quarter 2019. So there shouldn't have been any payment of stipends past that time because it wasn't authorized. But my understanding is there was payment. We've got to, you know, we've got to do our job as a board to recognize our salaried management employees and approve the stipends on a quarterly basis in a more timely manner, in my opinion. So hopefully we can get somewhere in our executive session discussion on that. And
I don't think it needs executive, I think that everybody agrees with that statement.
well, I hope so. But, you know, I mean, somebody may want an executive session on the amounts. I mean, I certainly, as I've said before, feel that in the second quarter, there should be a change for what was paid in the first quarter to recognize the acting superintendent and business manager for the extensive and good detailed work that was done to support the owner's RFQ in that period of time. And I think that's worthy of recognition financially.
Let's take it away from them and give all the next quarter to the people that worked on the streams there and that stuff.
It's management under the budget, so we'd have to go to the owners for the budget transfer.
Putting a little bloom
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, it's something.
You had me all excited for a second.
Yes.
Boy, it doesn't take much to get you excited, does it?
I mean, this is a public meeting and it's being recorded, and put up on the internet, so it's important. It's important we remember that so we don't say something that somebody thinks is a commitment that we can't make.
Okay.
And then, you know, we certainly have to address the retirement of our former acting superintendent and the personnel actions that are necessary to move forward from that, which I believe that's part of the executive session as well.
That's correct.
but there's finances involved with that as well. Last evening, I presented at the City Council work session on the budget transfer that Charlie had submitted on September 5th. For some reason, it didn't get onto the agenda for a prior work session, and they finally got to it last night. Happily, without any questions or debate, it was signed up. So it's supposed to be voted on Wednesday on an expedited basis, so that hopefully the City of Binghamton can catch up legislatively with what the Village of Johnson City Board of Trustees approved on September 17th. Thank you. And that's pretty much it on finance. On the flow management, really not anything from a flow management perspective. I know that Michelle had sent us around the noon hour an email from Tara Blum about speedies permit meeting, and I'd like to cover that or have that discussed under new business. So that's it for finance and full
Okay. Ad hoc committee,
Nothing new to report.
thank you. Steve, anything on personnel?
I'd like to make a motion that we authorize Charlie to advertise for a negotiator.
Don't we first need to have a request for qualifications, or develop some kind of scope of service that we want, or?
Didn't we use what we used the last time?
We didn't advertise for it because we were using the county. It was a shared service, so we didn't have to advertise for it. I totally understand what you're saying.
So we use the county and the county's not doing it anymore, is that what
No.
you're saying?
We weren't really happy with the post job that they did. We still don't have a copy of the contract from the county. They were supposed to make it and deliver. Thanks you to the union who supplied it to us, but the county never followed through.
Okay, Clark, does the village have a negotiator, or do you trustees and the mayor do it?
Not that I know of.
Mr. Livingston?
See, that's why we just need an outline
again?
of what the services are and these post-negotiation services.
Does the city have a negotiator for contracts?
You gotta get off the time here.
I mean, that'll happen before it comes through city council.
Oh, so you don't know.
My understanding, George, is that the director of personnel and safety is the lead negotiator on collective bargaining agreements.
Oh, okay.
And, with the city's corporation council, do they have any?
Okay. Well, I just didn't know, I was just trying to pick, because I know when I was back with the village, we did hire out, okay? And I don't know, does anybody have any names on any type of negotiators that do it for a living?
Yeah, I think it's been done both ways at the village, George. You know what I mean? There's been
No.
trustees that have done it, and then they've hired.
Well, the
people to come
trustees
in.
were always involved with it, but we still had a negotiator and made sure that we didn't have 3 board members that agreed to anything.
I know it hasn't happened for every single contract.
I believe out of Corporation Counsel's office in the city of Binghamton for personnel negotiations, Sharon Sorkin intends to be the person. But, yeah.
So,
I think the market changes from time to time, so, having an RFQ.
you were involved in it quite a bit. Do you know of anybody that personally?
I haven't kept up with it. It's, what I'm doing now is a full-time job. And, so like I'm saying, I can't tell you what the market is locally right now for who supplies that kind of service.
The last one we had, his brother was the priest at St. Michael's.
Jim Ducko?
Yeah. I don't know whether he does it anymore now.
Pretty cool guy.
Is that something we could, maybe Kirk has a list? We gotta do something.
Why don't you try your hand at it? We'll give you an extra second.
How much?
Here we go. We're
Depends on how much we
negotiating.
save, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you.
Inverse percentages,
Does-
pretty sore, but.
Does our insurance companies ever get involved in something like that?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Put out a
Is that their
request for-
scope, sorry?
So we can put out a request for proposal.
That's what qualifications.
Qualifications with their, we need, we need to get it drafted and go through Al and then put it out to the board to approve it so it can be advertised.
Soon as
If
possible.
we need a special meeting, we should have a special meeting.
Right.
There's nothing we can do about
And we
it.
actually wanted them to consolidate and propose or produce not just negotiate as a moderator, but actually produce.
The finished product.
Oh, yeah, there'd be post-negotiation service.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why we want to see a draft to make sure we can look at the scope of service.
Anything else, Steve? That's it. Correspondence, you got the September, the IWTP report, the summary of contracted project costs, and the EFPR group audit packet. Okay. Is there anything under old business? Anything on new business?
Right, I wanted to bring up this information that Tara Blum put out in her email that the DEC wants us to have, or wants to have a meeting the last week of October, except it doesn't want to do it on Wednesday, October 30th, because the DEC is not available that day. Where they'd like to spend, I think it's about 3 hours or so, they say a few hours of time. And they would do it up in Cortland unless the date was October 29th, which is a Tuesday, then it would have to be in Syracuse, because Cortland's not available that day. Where they could have a discussion, and they would provide the draft permit about a week before the meeting, so that there can be a chance to review, prepare, and coordinate comments and questions, and then they'd have this meeting. And this email went to Elliot, Ron Lake, both mayors, Michelle, John LaGorga, and some DEC people.
Which I forward to all the board members.
Right, today, yeah, it's in the email.
But it's not in your packet.
Right.
I didn't have time to do that.
I went to the meeting they had on the watershed implementation plan back in March up in Cortland. I was on the conference call at the end of August on the preliminary discussion toward moving forward with the permit. I'm certainly happy to continue, with this if the board would like me to be involved. I just want to.
Yeah, I replied that I could go.
Right, and I saw your reply. And it wasn't, since it wasn't sent with me and the 2 block and the email, I didn't want to respond to it until the board said I could, respond, as board member, so.
Yeah, anybody that wants to be involved. Where is it located in Portland?
Fisher Avenue, you kind of go past, I can say the direction. You kind of
Go past the first section?
You go, yeah, you go,
Second
and then you kind of loop up and back down.
And back,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I think I know. It's not too far from the gas building there.
So if that's agreeable, I'll send a note,
Yeah.
just so they know what my schedule is. And
I sure don't want to go to Syracuse.
no, I'm not. I wouldn't really want to do that
I
either.
think that might be exit 13, George.
Bob Bennett had responded. I saw his note that he's not available except for Thursday or Friday, so that would be important.
Of course, it's always closer to the end of the week where if you do these things. Management knows how to work.
I mean, October 31st might not be great for me because it's the day that I finalize the monthly reports, but, if we went to a meeting and then we got them up for some Friday morning, the first, that's fine.
Right.
Pardon me?
I voted that to you too.
Yeah, stop, thank you.
Okay, since we've got through with everything now, need a motion to go in executive session.
Motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, carried, 501.